So today we're going to be hooking up some dust collection in the shop, and the first thing I'm going to do is make some of these blast gates. And for the biggest part, you probably have all the material laying around the shop that you're going to need. The only thing I had to buy for this was some epoxy and a coupling. And the good thing about these blast gates, they clean themselves out as you're using them over time and do not get clogged up. Alright y'all, so the two main reasons that I decided to make my own blast gates was one of my buddies put out a video not long ago and he made some and it looked fairly easy, and I'll put a link to his video down in the description. And another reason is all the comments that I was reading, not all of them, but a lot of the comments that I was reading online about the plastic blast gates and also the aluminum blast gates, people was complaining about them. Either they was complaining about sawdust getting trapped up in the actual gate part of it, or them just not lasting as long as they should. And they're kind of fairly expensive when you think about hooking up all of your tools in the shop to these. So anyhow, I watched Tracey's video and I thought, wow man, it couldn't be any easier than that. So I'm using some 3/8 inch scrap plywood that I had from a previous project, and I think some Luan for the actual gates, but you can use plywood for every bit of this. So anyhow, with that being said, we're going to go ahead and jump into it. So we got the main part of the blast gate put together, and before we can glue our coupling to the outside, we're going to have to drill a hole through this. We're going to be using a 2-inch hole saw, and that will give us just enough room to glue that coupling around the outside of that hole. The next step, we're going to take the coupling over to the bandsaw, cut it down the middle, and then we'll be able to glue each half on each side. So the last thing we got to do to finish up these blast gates, we're going to take this 5-minute epoxy, Now this works on most materials. You can pick this up from the big box store. We're gonna make sure it's mixed up real good. We're gonna put it all the way around the surface of that coupling, and that should pretty much be the last thing we gotta do to finish these up. We are finished with the blast gates. The good thing about making these yourself is you can make that gate as snug as you want, and you do that just by adding or taking away some shims depending on how loose that is when you are putting it together. Another thing, they only cost a couple dollars to make. For the biggest part, you probably got most of the scraps laying around the shop. All you have to do is buy a coupling and some 5-minute epoxy. If y'all hadn't saw Tracy's video, I'll leave a link to it at the end. He puts his together similar to these, but a little bit different. You might get some tips out of his also. And if you hadn't subscribed to the channel already, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and that bell notification, because in the next video I'm going to be showing y'all how to take just a regular piece of PVC pipe and taking that and putting a bell on it where you can fit a shop vac hose into the end of it and not lose any suction and not have to wrap any tape around it to keep from losing any suction. So if you hadn't already subscribed to the channel, don't forget to do that, and I will see y'all on the next one.